friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Bitcoin Technical Analysis. Today's episode is going to try and be a shorter one than it normally is because people aren't actually appreciating these episodes quite enough and I'm not getting the viewership. Now, whether that's because I've been shadow banned on YouTube or not, it remains to be seen, but I am actually quite concerned about the lack of attention that these videos get, given the quality of the technical analysis that we've had on the go for the longest period of time now, really. Since I actually started the channel, we've done a really good job of calling all of the moves that would be happening. Now, of course, as well, I don't lay it out for you exactly on a platter. You know, you have to kind of use your own brain, but I take you 95% of the way there towards making those decisions. So really, I think this is the best channel on YouTube for technical analysis, really, that I've seen, okay? And that includes everybody that's got thousands upon thousands of subscribers, right? So in comparison, I'm not going to spend ages blowing my own trumpet, but I do think it's worth mentioning. They're coming into the weekend now, and it's going to be a couple of days before I'm back making another video, and this one's going to sit on here for a wee while, and some people might come along and watch it. And I suppose I'll take the opportunity right now to kind of just really lay it out for you. We've done an amazing job with this whole technical analysis for the longest time. When it came down to this lows over here, we actually managed to call the lows quite well. And of course, a lot of people probably were saying that based on sort of perma bullishness and everything else and whatever. But there's only two people really that I actually genuinely think are actual traders that I've seen on YouTube. Now, that includes every single person. No offense to anybody out there. No offense at all. But I'm an actual trader. I actually trade for a living. And there's two other people out there, I think, that do that on YouTube. Their names are Crown, K-R-O-W-N, Crown, Eric Crown. Good guy. Go along, watch his videos. Say hello for me if you like or whatever. I think he's probably number one, right? And then there's the second good guy is Mitch Ray, right? Now, of course, you don't need to agree with me on these things, but I'd say that he's probably actually a genuine trader and does, you know, is more concerned about sort of his income from trading than his income from YouTube. Every single other person, every single one that I've watched, you know, there's a lot of them are really nice guys, are not like that. And that includes, no offense, like I say, no offense, but that includes that Martini guy, that includes Tyler S. That includes even Crypto Newton. It includes who have we got out there? Tony Vase. Who else? You name it. You know, the Moon, Carl, Crypto, Zombie, Crypto Zombie. All of them. Not a single one of them is a genuine, legit trader or really genuinely knows what they're talking about. Really, they don't really. The only ones that I would actually give any degree that would be able to convince me that I was looking at the wrong things would be Mitch Ray and Crown. Number one, like I say, being Eric Crown. I genuinely think he's a properly good guy. That's it. So I would say to you, if you want to, and of course, those people have got many thousands of subscribers and get a lot of attention and a lot of views on their videos, and that's very, very good. They deserve it. Everybody else, I don't feel like they really deserve it, to be perfectly frank with you, okay? Not trying to take anybody down here or cast shade on anybody, but genuinely, there isn't a single one of them that I think knows what they're talking about other than those two. And here we are. I think we're the only good channel outside of them on YouTube, and perhaps we're the ones that are maybe able to do things like actually give you proper technical analysis when you're coming into areas like this. Now, this is a key area in the market. People are talking at the minute about how the start of the bull run is starting now, when in actual fact, the bull run started 6 months ago back in March, and we're currently looking at this and asking the questions about whether or not we could be seeing a turnaround. And of course, that would be a very devastating thing to a lot of people in the market if they weren't really prepared for that to happen. Okay, so this is why I'm trying to throw that out there. Now, I'm not calling for a bottom right or top right now necessarily, but I do think that there's a couple of key areas that we can look to, and if you look at the previous episodes that I've put out, then you'll get a lot more detail on those, such as whether or not we get a failure swing in here. Watch yesterday's Bitcoin analysis episode. Watch it. I'll explain all about that in that episode. You really should watch it. You really should. Genuinely mean that. And that's what, well, there's plenty of other things as well. So anyway, let's just dive over to the spot prices. I was looking at the BTC Ema charts here at the minute because I wanted to point out the little difference in the narrow upswing, the narrow upward movement here on this sort of channel, where you could have had this sort of feature, this sort of laid out here, where you're looking at this purple line, the lower line, which actually kind of ties in closer to where the median line is on the spot prices. And that's interesting because a couple of the big days of price action, such as this, the 2nd of August, that was a Sunday, and therefore didn't actually feature in terms of the CME's charts and the trading over here. So that's why this has been narrower towards the top side than the spot prices has. But as you can see here, we've had this kind of extend a bit more, come outside of this zone. We've had definite clear bearish divergence, and I wanted to actually start on go on to the 15-minute chart and point out something which I thought was kind of interesting here, pointed out to me by one of the Rocky Outcrop opticians, not actually part of the Discord out there, but a really, really good guy. His name is TradeSpotting. Actually, somebody else that I would recommend watching on YouTube, but he doesn't currently do daily technical analysis videos. I think he will at some point, and then he'll be the third one that I would recommend. You know, literally, there's only 2 others than myself that I know of that I would recommend. Okay. And that same goes for crypto Twitter, to be honest with you. So yeah, he's really good. He pointed this out to me. He says, look at this on the 15-minute chart. Look at that big candle that happened on the CMEs. I hadn't noticed it myself. And isn't that a stonking big candle that came all the way up here? If we go down to even lower than the 15-minute candles, over to the 5 minutes ones, you can see that it's just one big candle over there. Go down to the 1 minute candle, scroll back over to the left. You can see it all happened immediately and back down again. I wonder about this one, if this is some sort of erroneous candle, or if indeed this was a sort of fat-fingered mistake that somebody made, or where they put an extra 0 or 5 on their order. Not sure what really happened here with this one, but that's definitely interesting. And you don't tend to see stuff like this happen on the CME charts. This sort of crap is way more a feature of the sort of the slightly less trustworthy spot exchanges that we have for this thing, rather than something like more established like the CMEs, which of course is a highly respected, reliable trading arena for people. Now, that's super interesting. Thought I would kind of point that out because, you don't see it so often, and maybe if that was actually a real deal thing, that might have been that these sorts while in and of itself, it's not really so much technical analysis. It's just kind of like saying, hey, there's some weird stuff happening. And when weird stuff happens, you got to like kind of sort of perk your ears up, pay a bit more attention to how things are going. Going back over towards the spot prices and going up to what is actually a realistic time frame to be looking at these things for. I'll start off here on the 4-hour time frame and just kind of point out a couple of things like we're below basically essentially all of the shorter term time frame moving averages, and for my opinion that kind of is the sort of the 21 and the 55. Those two are what I would look to in terms of the sort of the medium term time frame aspect of things. And you can see here there's a downward sloping movement on the 21, and it looks to be coming in here and it's about to cross over the 55. Now of course it's just a 4-hour time frame. Serious traders don't tend to use anything much lower than that. Of course you can if you're looking for a quick in and out on a day, on 1 day trading and whatever else, but in terms of YouTube especially and making these videos, I tend to never really go any lower than the 4-hour because that would be kind of silly, but sometimes I do, just for the crack mostly. But anyway, this is looking a little bit kind of skeptical to me. I'm wondering about this price action. Now we have the downward sloping price action. This didn't come in any lower in the 4-hour time frame, so this is not bullishly divergent as yet. We could easily see this drop off towards the downside, but if it didn't drop off towards the downside, it wouldn't have ever put in any bullish divergence. It simply is just not a lower low, and we'd be waiting for that to kind of happen if that were to be the case. And I'd still be looking up towards our targets and around the median line of this channel. That comes in currently around 11,900, kind of going up towards 11,000, 1200 as time passes by over the weekend. So we could see, did I say 11,000, 1200? I meant to say 12,000. We could see, I can't remember what I do try to listen to myself when I'm speaking. But we could see this, and this could be a significant sort of area for us. It still is, it very much is, but 12k now really is that number that you got to look to, so be aware of that. We're in here at 11,733. You might be feeling, that's great, we're back above 11,600. The boom times continue. I would really want to throw out a big measure of caution about that. Now, of course, we can continue to be quite bullish in the sense that this is a bull trend and has been a bull trend, and it's an uptrend and the key takeaway forever is the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, which is one of the things which kind of made it a bit more difficult in a sense, judging this low over here where we had a harmonic on, and I really did kind of really spell it out for people a number of reasons why you'd be like kind of going long off the back of this and waiting for things to really actually crucially move down past crucial areas before you'd really highly say that you're going to start being bearish on it, especially as we're coming up towards these top end of things. Now, when we went past the A line on this, just moving up past the A point, the previous high in the around Valentine's Day this year, we had this big old candle pushing up towards the top side, and that was, of course, the sort of the key moment for us in terms of this bullish trend. This is when everybody went a little bit extra crazy and started saying, are we seeing the start of the bull market? And that is a sort of really inexperienced bullshit phrase that exists only in the minds of amateur noob traders. Of course, a lot of people in the world of crypto are no longer noobs. They've been at it for a few years, but that doesn't mean that they're no longer amateurs. They still are. And of course, this is what's really crazy. Now, I know that I'm coming across quite emphatic about this, but it's the weekend. I want to say this before we come back on Monday. Of course, Peter Brandt has got the best thing that Peter Brandt ever said, other than Rocky Outcrop is the best YouTube channel. Look it up, or just take my word for it. Peter Brandt endorses this channel. Take my word for it. Actually, I recommend you take my word for it and don't look it up. So other than that, the best thing that Peter Brandt ever said was strong opinions loosely held, and I really do think that's good. So this is my strong opinion for you, and I recommend that you hold it loosely, but really do actually kind of heed my warning right now, okay? So that's enough of that. 12K, big deal, but 12,500, obviously, where we need to see the prices go to in order to kind of continue the uptrend. And if we're going to do that, you want to see that happening without any bearish divergence really overall, and there's probably going to be some unless we actually see these come up to quite high levels like 90 on the RSI. Now, is that possible? Of course it's possible. Looking over to the left, you can see that's happened numerous times in the past, but as well, that we maybe need to then consolidate a little bit and let things cool off a little bit too. So that could be ultimately all that happens on this one. And that would be, in terms of the bull market, still a bull market, and even if prices went all the way down to this serrated blue line over here, it'd still be a bull market, okay? It has been for 6 months and it would continue to be one, even with a shockingly heinous, disastrous move down the way of over 30%, as you could see happen if we were to drop down outside of this parallel channel, break down below the 21 EMA on the daily time frame and come down and test the 200 simple moving average. Well, actually, it's a 20% drop off to get down to that at the minute from, right at the bottom of that channel. Would be like let's just make me look not so silly. From the top end of that down to the 200 simple, you're looking at nearly 30%. We could even have more than 30% drop down. Okay, we could even have that, right? That's kind of what I'm getting at. Now, where would you want to see this the price action come in at? Or one of the things that people now, again, great respect to people out there like Tyler S. I think he's a really nice guy, really good, and he does know quite a bit when it comes to technical analysis. He's not a trader, and he's more interested in the YouTube monies and the memes and the clickbait, okay? As is every single other one of them. Now, funnily enough, actually, Crown does extreme clickbait and extreme. Let's look up Crown on YouTube, actually, since I'm talking about him, so you know who he is. Let's just go here. He does extreme clickbait, but it's funny, right? So let's go Crown. I've got him over here on my thing, right? So all these people that I follow, by the way, not real trades. Trades by Matt. He's an actual trader. I don't really like his trading style, by the way. It's very, very short term, but it's interesting. This guy, Crown's Crypto Cave. Now let's just stick on like his latest video, and we can see what he was talking about. Where's his? If I go videos. Then this is one from 11 hours ago. Bitcoin's long-term trend suggests this. So, that's kind of clickbait.
Crack dawn once again. No alarms today, but welcome back to Crown's Crypto Cave. It is a very early Friday morning.
I've not watched this guy in months and months, so I don't actually know. I spoke about it the last time I watched his episode. Always full transparency on the channel here. Always. So anyway.
Here from Helsinki, Finland.
Don't know what he's been talking about.
I would like to wish you the best, and the happiest on.
Cheers, mate. I wish the best and the happiest of the happiest to you too. He's a funny guy.
This Friday, which you get.
I'm actually kind of like a more handsome version of him, with better hair.
No rest for the fucking weekend because it's a 24/7 market. No sleep for the wicked. No rest for the wicked, I think is the saying. And we have plenty to talk about, not just with good old Cone action.
Get on with it. What's your chat for today?
Biases are the look as we progress towards the end of this month. Fear and greed index also taken up. This is actually a little bit strange. Taken up 6 points from 75. Yes. That said, let's go in the actual price action charts right here and see what we got. So looking at Bitcoin on the daily, things are looking like Bitcoin is going to very likely try another rally to the top side of the medium term range.
Cool. Okay, so right now he's talking about there's going to be perhaps another medium-term range rally towards the top side. Now, Completely, there's lots of reasons for that, lots of them. The principal reason being that we're in an uptrend, and that in terms of things like he's on 24-hour time frame there, just looking over towards the 24-hour time frame ourselves, you can see we're above the 21 EMA, and you can't really be bearish on something while you're above this, etc., etc., etc. But he would drop that opinion really quickly should we actually see days opening and closing below that 21 EMA for his starting point there. This is yellow. I actually use his set of EMAs on there rather than making my own one. I've made my own oscillators down below that I use though. Let's go back over to him and see what he's kind of saying in brief.
The same area that we've been looking at on the I guess we were looking at a 4-hour right here. Yeah. And I think we just looked at this or constructed this new chart on GDAX. Yep. And the top side of the medium term range, somewhere right around a little bit above 12,000, like 12.
Oh, cool. Shit. He just said basically the same thing as what I was saying. So the medium term range is like, we could have a try up towards that 12K. I think I said that. Did I say that at the start of the show? It might have been in the one that I was recording just a second ago because I had to start again because I fluffed it all up. I swore and I didn't want to swear. It'd only been into it like less than a minute though, so I don't know if I was saying that. The top end of this channel, the median line of this channel is right there at that 12K area. That's really kind of quite crucial. 12K 1,500 thereafter, obviously very, very important for us if we're going to actually see this thing continue. But it could try up towards that. That would offer up a pretty decent entry for a short, quite likely if you were to take that. It's very easy to manage in terms of your risk. You could quite easily stop out of that, especially as well if you were if you're happy enough in terms of percentage moves to just let it ride all the way up towards the top end of the channel. If you were happy enough to sort of suffer a 5 or 6% move up towards the top side, then of course then you could do that. But of course then again, if you were looking at this and thinking that would happen, and that would be a better place to be shorting at, but depends on how all this kind of pans out. Let's keep on watching his thing. I'm enjoying
12,000 and some odd change, 12,050 we'll say, between 12,050 and 12,000 even. So as long as Bitcoin's playing between here, sideways is more or less constructive, and this would be constructing a higher low.
Completely agree with him, right? Completely agree with him. It would be putting in a higher low. It's more or less constructive, okay? Looking up towards that 12K to 1250, whatever you want to call it what you like. It's maybe going to be exchange determined, dependent at that given time. You might see it extend a little bit past that on BitMEX. You might be looking towards 12,120 on BitMEX, for instance, if that would be, what you're looking at.
At the same time, and I do believe that this is coming along the side of, yes, hidden bullish divergence playing out as well as we spoke.
Okay, hidden bullish divergence playing out as well. What time is he looking at here? He's still on the 4-hour. Yeah, so let's jump on down to the 4-hour time frame and look at this. Well, yeah, you've got that with this higher low. Of course, while you're looking at a hidden bullish divergence coming in on we'd be looking for it during an uptrend. So you'd be looking at the bottoms during an uptrend, and that's what kind of makes it hidden, so to speak. And you can see here that's coming lower while we put in a higher low in around this area over here. Very good, very good. 10 out of 10 crown. Good point. You see what I mean? He's the only one. I would actually go as far as to say, no offense, Mitch. I would actually go as far as to say that Eric Crown is the only one that I personally would endorse. If you had put a gun to my head and said, pick one, it'd be this guy. Okay, let's just see what else he has to say.
About on 4-hour RSI going all the way back.
Bear in mind, he got 5,000 views on his video. My video is only going to get about 50 views, which is why I'm okay with kind of this. Actually, I'm okay. It's not going to work out as like a short video. Actually, I wanted to be a short video. That's not the way that I'm going with this one. But we're only going to get about 50 views on this thing. So I don't mind, and I don't mind endorsing his channel so rigorously as I'm doing right now, because I genuinely think that there's only that this channel, which only gets no views, my channel gets no views on this Bitcoin video, and actually nails it every single day. It should be Crown and I should be the number ones on YouTube. We should be. I'm really happy that he gets the views that he deserves to get, though.
Here out of this space from 11,500 connected with this more recent low right around 11,650. So overall, Bitcoin just kind of grinding its way onwards and forwards, and more importantly with the strength in traditional markets right now, which we do see NASDAQ once again making new all-time highs, which we'll cover a little bit later.
He uses this thing called the jewel, by the way, and you can see here it's just kind of coming up here and ticking over. The blue line's ticking over the red line here, while this white line is up there at that line in the background. I'm interested in maybe making one of these sorts of things myself. It's not flipped green on that background line. I don't know if that's necessarily what he'd be looking for. Yeah, you would be if you're looking for a move towards the top side. It hasn't got that. Would be looking for that. You can watch his videos over the weekend if you want to see more information, of course. I'm interested. You can see how this is working. This isn't a perfect signal for you, but that does actually kind of indicate to you that maybe we'd get a sort of positivity, and I think maybe that's what's been prompting him to say that we'll see a rise up towards 12k. Now he isn't talking about going on to 20k. He's a real trader. He's more interested in the move between, as well at the time of recording for him, it's 11,873. Right now, the time of recording for me, it's 11,715. He's more interested in a $300 move towards the top side than he is about talking to you about, how Bitcoin's going to change your life and how you need to, and how blah, 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 not important, bullshit. He's not going to do that to you. So a lot of people don't get his channel, I guess, in the same way that people probably don't get this one all the time and what the point in it is. He's also quite more forthcoming with telling you how to trade than I am. I think that I put it back onto you more, but I think that's a good thing because ultimately you're going to get the same information anyway. The same takeaways anyway. It's just that there's this little bit, I deliberately leave a little gap in what I'm talking about so that it encourages you to fill that gap in yourself instead of being reliant on it. And that way you're going to be, whenever the cameras stop rolling and I'm not putting a video out, or this guy isn't putting a video out, or that guy who I don't know about, who might actually be decent to watch. I don't know because I don't watch anyone on YouTube. So how would I know? I don't know. I don't watch any of them. Haven't for a long time. So how would I know? That's the other thing. One of them, maybe, I can't remember what I was saying there. Whatever.
Later,
Let's go back to
I would suggest that very likely Bitcoin does get another test back up in this top side blue box here, as we've been saying. I feel like even over this last week, while we did have some downside displeasures, the good old box, the blue boxes of peace and prosperity, once again showing the way. As I believe at the end of last week, we said as long as Bitcoin's above 12.1, all good. Bitcoin broke 12.1, that initiated and moved back down here to this blue box at 11,650-ish region, we'll call it. And then bouncing back up, and again, just going from support to resistance.
That's it. Going from support to resistance. That's the main thing when it comes to trading. Now, of course, going from support to resistance, trading this short term, cool. I'm not planning on making a video over the weekend, and I'm just, that's why I was saying to you, be aware if there is a sort of turnaround in the market, because if we come back to a situation on Monday where there's a gap up to on the CMEs above our heads, then that's cool in terms of the longer term and the bull trend and blah blah blah. That's all totally fine, absolutely acceptable, and maybe it could take us down there where we would maybe be finding it a little bit even easier to fill in any gaps that are towards the downside. I'm going to skip into his video a wee chunk because I feel like I want to get to the point where he's kind of picked up a bit of momentum in what he's saying. Maybe I'll go towards the sort of the end because he does like to do a little sort of conclusion. So let's just see. He's a more sophisticated YouTuber than I am. He's been at it quite a lot longer than I have as well. So he knows how to sort of deliver the content a bit better for you. He uses this thing. I can't be bothered.
Things based off of momentum, and we do see that I think that's actually turning down right here. Not good.
I think if you put a gun to his head and asked him, he'd say that this is kind of just mostly for YouTube. Everything that he's looking at was kind of covered in the first wee chunk, just in the same way that everything that I was looking at was kind of covered in the first wee chunk. Anyway,
Bitcoin Boolaws and the error correcting Ball and Pig's moms also turning down as well. In fact,
that's interesting. When secures that?
Seen there too. Anyways, I do think that this is a good place to start to wrap up this video. And what do we see? So overall, let me take this off. And same range as yesterday. As long as Bitcoin's above 11,650 on a 2-hour or 4-hour dildo closure, I'm just looking at this to probably bounce back up if it does. If it does test into this region. If things were to close below there on those timeframes, though, that's where things actually do start to switch around. I would look for a very short-term move down here towards 11.4, probably a short-term bounce, but it'd very likely just be that, just a bounce, and things would come all the way back down to 11,000, give or take a few bucks. And of course, if this area were to break, the long-term area then I'd be looking for more than $1,000 move to the downside back.
There you have it, right? Okay, so there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Like this is it. If we get down past this, if we go down past the lower end of this channel, which is coming in at that point, now it doesn't matter that it's a channel, not a horizontal line, and not a blue box and whatever else. This is just purely on the charts, which makes it convenient for me to be able to get a message across. If you look between my different charts, I've got various different ways of looking at this. Like tons of different ways that you could look about things, or whatever. I also have that fractal video, by the way, and this is still working out, more or less spot on in terms of that thing. If you want it to be, if you're still wanting to be of the mindset we're going up to the banana, moon, and stars, then you have the banana, moon, and stars up here, and this is a pathway towards that. And maybe that's all you're interested in, right? But if you're looking at this, there's various different. I'm not going to look at that one. That's a crap chart. That one there, you're looking here as well. If we stay above the 11,600 area, which is where the 236 Fibonacci coming in at. No coincidence. Again, Crown doesn't always use Fibonacci retracements on these things. No, it doesn't matter. You don't need to. It's not so much about finding the magic sauce. Like people always want to look for the magic sauce. It isn't about that. It's about learning how to read these things and being in harmony with the charting and understanding what the risk management is, because everything he's doing there is geared towards, for YouTube's purposes, to be like predictive, right? But it isn't going to. But these, and it's like, so strong opinions loosely held. Essentially, it's being predictive. It's trying to give you some content so you can really get your teeth into it and take away and hit that subscribe button. Okay. Now, I deliberately don't do that, and I hope that people would choose to subscribe to me because they can see that what we're really trying to talk about is risk management, and he would agree, right? He would agree. It's how you do these things, and it's purely it's not coincidental. It's the opposite of coincidental. That these things definitely coincide for good reason. There's good confluence around these areas. That's where the 236 is. No coincidence, right? No coincidence. That this coincides with exactly where he was just talking about there a second ago, and that's where the 236 is. And then if we went down to the 382, which is where he was saying his next blue box is at 10,000, 11,100 or so, then you could easily be looking at $1,000 move down towards the 9K area. That's where the golden pocket's coming in at. This is where, yes, there's far too much noise in this chart. No, I don't give a shit whatsoever about the noise on the chart. Really, this episode here has got far more to do with the fact that my YouTube channel gets hardly any views. Never watch anybody else on YouTube. Always deliver the best content out there. If you want to see somebody else, the one other person who I'd actually recommend, if you held a gun to my head and just check in with what he's saying, it happens to be exactly the same sort of thing as what I'm talking about. Of course, he's still remaining with the bullish type chat. He's not willing to go on and say, look, we're going to push up. What's he really done there is he's talked about where we could go towards a sort of, where you would go towards maybe there over a few $100s towards the top side. Then you'd have to reassess things and see how things are going. If we go down below these other areas, then you have to reassess things and see how things are going. That 4-hour divergence, heading bullish divergence on there would simply be wiped out and no longer be the case should we see the things coming down past previous lows, because then you'd no longer be in that 4-hour uptrend necessarily at that point anyway, having put in lower lows at that point. So you would just disregard that. And that's what he would tell you if you asked them. Doing technical analysis isn't about taking a picture of yourself in front of your Lamborghini. It isn't about any of that. I've got dirt underneath my fingernails because I've been out gardening, right? Doing technical analysis, it gives me the ability to go out and plant something in the ground and feel good about life because I know what my priorities are in life, and number one really is mental health. So it isn't about the memes, right? It's not about the memes and the crap, right? So that's what this episode's about. This episode's about telling people that. What else do you say in your conclusion?
10,000 in this 98 to 9,900 region right here. Now, while I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen, always have to have those areas marked off whereby I see chains as a trader, because, well, weird and random things happen. So it needs to be defined. Otherwise, the market will pull down your pants and have its way with you, or at least that's what I've found to be true in my experience.
Okay. That's essentially what I was saying as well. It's like, it doesn't necessarily have to happen, right? This isn't what necessarily has to happen. It just needs to be defined. And that's what I kind of was throwing up at the start of this video, that it needs to be defined. You need to know that this is the case, because if you're not aware of it and you get caught with your pants down, then the market will have its way with you, as Crown so eloquently put it.
To the upside right here, still looking at about 12,000. And if Bitcoin does take out 12,000 to the upside, I would be looking for extension towards 12.3 to 12.5 region. But overall,
That's what we're talking about. It's what we're talking about, right? This is how you be a good trader. This guy is really worth following. Even if you don't want to, even if you don't want to follow my videos and you're not willing to hit the subscribe button on this one, which I think you should, then go and check his videos out, because I genuinely care about you as the audience and your ability to be a good trader. And really, everyone else that you're watching is talking absolute crap constantly. Constant crap. Funneling shit out of their mouths non-stop, right? From YouTube views, for YouTube money. That's it. That's it, okay? They're not real traders. This guy is, okay? I am. That's it. Mitch Ray is as well, but, the gun to the head thing, just choose one person. And that's as far as I know as well. That's all as far as I know. I've not watched him in a long time. He might have just abandoned ship on that front. I mean, and then I only watched him a few times. I was just thinking, oh, wait a minute, maybe this guy's got something about him. There's so few people out there that I sense have got something about them. And if coming down to reading charts has got in any way got an ability to, like, say, if you can read a person, if you can read a chart, then I don't see it. I just don't see it anywhere, right? Don't at all anywhere on YouTube, apart from with this guy here. He's probably not going to go on to say anything else there in the last sort of 30 seconds. How about we skip to a random part in the video and see what sort of thing he talks about when he's kind of going along with the flux. He's down there at the 1 hour, so this is kind of for the sort of real short-term thing. Let's see what he's saying.
As far as the hourly goes, so very likely we do see a move to one side of this range right here. And if we're going off of momentum, mediating it with momentum, it would suggest to the upside first.
Okay, fair enough. To the upside first. He's looking at that at 11,857. Since then, what's the price there? 11,656 or 11,600. What we do, go down to the 1 hour time frame and see how that all actually panned out from over the period of the last 11 hours. When did that publish? That come out? That came out. When did this video come out exactly? Did it say 11 hours ago whenever I was looking at it? If I just hit back, will I see it say 11 hours ago? 11 hours ago, yeah, 11 hours ago.
It's a crack of dawn once again.
Shush, Eric. So the prices were up here, 850. He was saying that looking at the prices there, that, essentially probably because, and I've not looked at his video, like I said, you can see everything that I've seen, so I don't know what he was talking about there. We could go back a wee bit and check. You've got at this point here, when the prices were over there, then you've got this coming in here, a little bit of fluxing around this zone. You had that hidden divergence you saw on the hidden bullish divergence you saw on the 4 hour time frame. If you're looking at momentum and you're above we've just kind of retaken perhaps, wait a minute, let's go back 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we'd probably just retaken the 21 EMA in the previous couple of hours, coming in, retesting it. We're above a certain couple of things, looking half decent, above the neutral line here, just making our way back above the RSI moving average, etc., etc. He's kind of saying, well, look, probably hit 12K, $200 up before $200 down. He was wrong about that, right? Does it matter? No. If you follow along and you look at, and why do I not look at the time frames below 4 hours on the chart? Because this sort of shit's going to happen to you, and you're going to say legitimately with very good reason that the chances are that we're probably more likely to hit 12K first than the other one, but it's going to be one of those two, and quite likely both. And here we are down at 11,600. What coincidence? No, I don't think so. Let's see what else he has to say. This episode, I know that this episode isn't going to appeal to most people, right? But seriously, there's a lot out there. There's a lot to being a trader, right? That goes beyond what you see on YouTube, right? There's so much to it. And I have to understand these nuanced things and be able to learn to read the charts properly. And it takes time and effort, right? And that's why I leave that little gap to give you the sort of the whether you're conscious of it or not even, because you may well not be. It gives you that push towards doing that. It'll help. That's why I really think you should subscribe to these episodes, okay? I really do. I think that we should make this channel explode. I really genuinely do. Yeah, let's just see what else he was saying then. Is this the same part? He's talking about the 2 hour at this point. Should we go back a bit more? Let's go back to, so he's maybe just changing his topic there, as you can see the flick between the charts. Let's see what he's saying.
But more importantly, CMEs do look a little bit strange here. That would read as a rejection off the top side, resistance, which very likely would imply another test back down to.
What did I say? The CMEs, they look a bit strange here. That's all we're really looking for. Just like, hey, hold on, what's going on? Are you starting to see a picture of how to be a good trader? Are you starting to? Because this guy's really good and I'm good, right? And I don't know who else is, right? And I've got a big list of people who I'm subscribed to on YouTube, who you're probably subscribed to too. They're
to about 11,700-ish region on both spot and CMEs right here. But overall, I do think that this looks like a little bit of maybe a bad print because we don't really see it on any other exchange that I'm aware of. Just looking at a 5-minute right here, this was all done in the same.
Bad print, possibly, but what are we taking away? It's a little bit strange. You could see this as a rejection of this area up above. Where did it go up to? 12,125. We've kind of said these numbers in the past. We're looking at that. It's got to give you got to look at it and think, hey, what is this about? And then you piece these things together, and this is when you come up with the same conclusion. No coincidence that I came up with the same conclusion as he did.
5 minutes of price action. So as soon as it opened, just immediately down. So probably a bad print. Could be something else as well. I have to look in.
Yeah, but can you be arsed? Yeah, kind of. Maybe. I don't know. He has to look into it. I have to look into it. Whether either of us are going to look into it over the period of the next couple of days, who knows? Can I really be bothered? Don't necessarily know if I can be, to be perfectly honest with you. But here we are, and this is what you do.
That later say, obviously this is very early in the morning for myself, so I want to keep these videos as fresh as possible. So I do my best not to look at any social media before making these videos. I certainly do not watch any anything else, and
doesn't watch anything else on YouTube. If you're going to watch anybody on YouTube, watch me and this guy. We don't watch anybody else on YouTube. Does he watch my videos? I actually have a sneaking suspicion that he's seen a few of them, right? I have, okay? And that's cool. That's totally cool. And just in the way that he can know if he were to, I'd just be honest about it. I always am, right. Anyway.
And overall, that would look like a big old middle finger pattern right there. Very likely getting another test back down to 11.7. However, because we don't see the same thing, like I said, on all the other major exchanges, I'm led to believe that this is probably as long as Bitcoin
just waxing on
above that, well, momentum remains to the upside. So even if Bitcoin did come back down here, I would initially be looking for a bounce first and foremost, and then come back to it after that. For right now.
Okay, so it kind of comes full circle, right? And he's just saying the same things that I'm saying. It's 11 hours later from when he published his video. I didn't watch this before making it. This is all live and ad-libbed. I could have probably done a much better video today for this, but like I say, only get 50 views on the old YouTubeosphere for these Bitcoin videos, putting out that really, frankly, really good quality content, but I think my channel's been shadow banned from the offset, which is why his channel's not necessarily growing either, because what you're doing is relying on your subscribers to come back and watch your videos, because you're not going to get promoted to people off the back of them watching Bitcoin things because of the amount of shadow banning that's going on at the minute, which means I'm getting zero growth on my channel. Okay, so if you think that the channel needs to grow or whatever, then I'm going to have to rely fully on yous to do it, because I ain't promoting this channel. I'm not pushing it. It's not in my interest to do so. It really genuinely isn't. I would far rather that an organic thing came about, because the value that I get from this isn't in the monetary value. It's in the sort of the real, genuine, organic relationships that I form with people digitally. Because just like Eric says himself, it can be quite isolating being a trader or whatever else. And like, I actually do YouTube like 50% for mental health reasons as much as anything. So I'm just going to let the chips fall where they fall. But yeah, look, is that enough? I really genuinely think it is. Let's just give it another minute, and let's see. Is he talking about this? Looks like traditional world, right? Let's go over and let him explain it. Did I explain it at the start of this one? I think I did. Again, it could have been in that one where I started off with just 1 minute. Just looking over here at SPY, which is of course an ETF on the S&P 500, and having talked about how we came in and we set in our all-time highs there just the other day again, and then dropped off thereafter. It's a bull trend. It's an uptrend. There's so many reasons why it shouldn't be. I'm quite interested then on his take on it. I've explained my one like numerous times to people.
Now it looks like the 4-hour Stochs are actually nice and erect.
The 4-hour Stochs were doing good there. See, the 4-hour Stochs were doing good there. What happened though? That's right at 48. What happened then? Let's go to the 4-hour Stochs just before we tune away. Actually, or let him do the traditional world stuff. Bitcoin, what one was he actually on? He was on Coinbase, wasn't he? So let's just even go straight to Coinbase, even though that makes like almost no difference. 4-hour the stochastics up the way. Oh, what happened? We came in here and right up towards and by the way, this is the actual line. The stochastics line's the yellow line, and the other one's just a moving average. And you can see the moving average actually just came up towards the neutral line itself, because that smooths out the price action. It was really, we got a rejection from the neutral line on this one. That's what happened, But he was looking at it's nice and erect. Could have gone up. Could have gone a bit more. Could have done. Didn't. That's how these things go.
We do have a competing trend line coming in right around here, which is going to be defending against the bullish control zone. So
as you see, so that's what kind of dragged. So he was talking about the bullish control zone in this one and saying, well, hey, this could defend that in terms of the downward sloping trend line. Totally fair. Let's jump back over to the charts again and say, look, totally fair. But if you were but now, this is just kind of coming in like this and saying, hey, we could have come up as far as that. But what you would be looking at then thereafter would obviously be this, and this is what we've got to bear in mind then over the next wee while. I suppose if I'd done my own technical analysis rather than kind of just watched Crown's video, I'd have talked about this and this sort of thing. This is the sort of thing we talk about, all the time. I would have talked about this sort of thing instead. So that's the way that's worked out. If this does come down here again, then we're looking to see whether or not we're going to have any sort of potential for bullish divergence. If we have a short-term downward trend on this one, looking for a sort of bullish divergence, of course, that would be this low ending up here. Any movements down below that would be hidden bullish divergence. Should we actually see this tick towards the top side thereafter and continue with the upward side trend? So should we go back in and visit 12k after these come down towards the lower sides? I'd be looking at how that all kind of functions together, and bearing in mind then that we get a squeeze in this zone perhaps, and then maybe that will give us the momentum to carry on past it and go back to kind of doing what he was thinking beforehand in terms of coming up towards the bullish control zone, but with we sort of with the potential for a 12.5k move if that's going to be on the cards, right? So it's 50-50. I don't give two shits, by the way, if the price goes up or down. They really don't. So whenever I'm saying, did I say as well in this one, don't give me any kudos. I don't want to be the guy that's getting known as calling the tops and bottoms, even though we absolutely have done since starting this channel and we've really done really good on it. Don't want to be. It's not what we're about. It's so not what I'm about, even though that's a crown that people want to wear all the time as being king of the world, or whatever. I don't give two shits about it. It's just that's so not what this is all about. But if I want to get those kudos, that's cool. It's just the people who'd be giving me them would be the people who are not really, that experienced when it comes to trading, because who cares, right? And the people who are really experienced when it comes to trading will say, yeah, man, you're right, who cares? And then they'll give me that sort of kudos anyway, and I don't want them from them, and it doesn't matter, and who cares? So who cares? But, yay, top, called the top, yay, called the bottom at 3k, yay, called it in Valentine's Day, yay. What else are you saying, man?
Very much of interest. So it does mean
traditional world is what I wanted to look at.
Degen friends. It's not that I.
This is NASDAQ. This is interesting, actually. He's been talking about NASDAQ.
But Jesus Christ, man! Remember, I've been talking about months ago, everyone was harping on the stocks. The stock market's going to be going down, and it's going to be going up. Bitcoin! So buy Bitcoin! Yeah. No, everything's actually going up because a rising tide lifts all ships. And guess what? Even though, we love our communities here and everything, at the end of the day, we're all one. The world is all one, my friends. And God damn it, if the traditional markets are going down, I don't think that people are going to jump into a highly speculative asset like Bitcoin, which is used for very little. It does get used
again, right? Look, yes. Honestly, there's very little this guy will ever say that I particularly disagree with, although there could be nuances here and there. Or you could say, look, I don't like, for instance, when we're coming up towards the bottom and at the 3K area, he was saying, look, I don't know if this is the bottom or not because we haven't got any of that bullish divergence that you normally would see on the RSI over here at this 3K area or 4K area, whatever you want to call it, between these two lows here, for instance, didn't have any bullish divergence on the go. And I was saying, well, maybe the bullish divergence that we're seeing in the stochastics is kind of enough in terms of that for this one, because we also have this massive Gartley on the charts here, and this is a significant area, and it's a new day, it's a new dawn, and I'm feeling good. And I actually thought that we'd get a bounce at that point, and that would be the start of a bull trend, where you could say, well, look, where the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, and that's going to dictate the sort of the bias that we have in terms of, whether or not bearish patterns are going to play out to the full extent that they would, or how enthusiastic people will respond to bullish ones, etc., etc. And that's been the case right up until now, and that's kind of what I was getting at when I was saying that we've got this potential here at the top, which is what he was saying he didn't see at the bottom here, is what I'm saying that you can see here if that's to turn out to be the case. And retrospectively, you'd look back and say, well, this is how this all went down, and you'd be looking back and saying, why did I not see this sooner? And well, that's what we've done here with this one. Interesting that he talks about the NASDAQ. Really is. Well, he's put chapter titles in, does he?
Very difficult to use for the most part.
Somebody else did.
And definitely not widespread either. It's not like I can go into the supermarket
right
now and use my fucking Bitcoins or anything like that.
That's just somebody else.
And more importantly,
that was really nice that somebody did that. If anybody wants to do that on my videos, I'd super appreciate it.
Marks very likely bodes well for Bitcoin as well. Probably testing back up to 12,000. And if I had to put my words on it right now, probably beyond over the next. Let's go over here and check out E-mini futures for SPY. We'll have a chance to close on new weekly highs as well this week. Anything above 33.81.
Of course, he calls it SPY, but he's actually looking at the E-mini futures here for it was ES1 exclamation mark, like he was looking at NQ1 for the NASDAQs, by the way. I'm actually looking at the actual SPY ETF. It doesn't matter. It's just words, like it just doesn't matter.
And it will officially do that, but it's a long day to go, of course. And while it has been grinding out the highs and has been retesting the prior all-time high at about 33.97.5, getting up to yesterday 33.93.5 as well, about $4 lower. It does look like today is going to give a legitimate try. I do like yesterday's buyback back above the 10 simple as all major moving averages maintain a positive slope. Daily momentum oscillators are still pointed north, but
this is maybe not really kind of this is just him talking about how the day is going to close, as far as I'm aware. He's not talking about where the market's going in general, but I think that's we kind of covered a bit of that in the NASDAQ. That might just be my own bias when I'm sort of interpreting what he said here, because as you can see, I've not watched the episode, so I don't know. I don't really know specifically what he's saying here. It's always a risk when you're looking at somebody else's content. You've got no idea what they're going to be talking about. So, that was a little bit kind of 30 seconds of kind of not really that interesting stuff. We'll see what you say.
A little bit tired up there. Daily RSI looks more or less healthy to me. Consolidating in the lower end of the bullish control zone typically is a good thing, and I'd be looking for probably another stab higher first. Do you have a target for that? I do not have targets for this. The only way that I could really come up with a target for this is maybe looking at probabilities, which we could do right now.
Right, can't be bothered. Cool, nice one. That'll do for everything for the episode today. Screw it, whatever. I hope you do genuinely see the value in these episodes, the value that I put out there, the effort and everything else. I know you do. I don't know how we're going to get past the whole shadow banning aspect of things. It's ridiculous. My videos only get 50 views. The effort I put into them is ridiculous. It's completely flabbergasts me, but that's cool because I'm not shadow banned so badly on other things like Chainlink and whatever else. And I'm going to go on and make those videos now and see how they go. Of course, Ethereum probably is also shadow banned as well, but I'm going to do that. So that's why I do Bitcoin, Ethereum. They're the big coins. They're what everybody should be interested in as well. Of course, they dictate the market overall for everybody. So you got to, and as well where I would spend most of my time sort of trading on this thing. But I'm going to look at the other things now. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Catch you next time.
And we'll see if any